I wanted to run through kind of the way that I handled some of the time clock things we talked about on the video today. Not really to say that this is the right way or this is even a better way. I think what you're going to do is going to be better, but I think in context, some of it will make some sense. So to demonstrate, I am going to create a new employee called Energy. We'll assign them to the Des Moines location, and we will make them a craftsman. Tell it it's hourly, and checking this box means that the employee isn't allowed to just clock in and out. They have to actually track their time to jobs. So, well, not necessarily to jobs, but they do have to track their time. So, I actually meant to make this person a report of mine just to show how the supervisory stuff works. So we're going to go ahead and log in as Energy. And you see I got a message of the day here, and it's a rich text control, so you can put pictures or whatever in here. That kind of came up on the video today too. Forget this. This is one time did you know stuff. So the employee comes to the system, they log in, it takes them directly to Timeclock since they're not currently punched in and they are an hourly employee. It's assumed that that's what they're here to do. We do have an employee list over here, and you can pick and you can filter. And if you hold your mouse over it, you can get some information. This person can't get much, but supervisors can get contact information, that kind of stuff. It's kind of nice to have a list here, but you can see what they're doing. They can have statuses so they can check in and out. Of course, they can say, "Hey, I'm going to be on vacation for a while," like this person. The hourly people, it shows whether they're punched in or out. Also, whether they're in the office or out of the office, that kind of stuff. They click punch in, and it asks them if they want to punch in or out. Now, I know you're not doing this, but the reason why I like offering this is, let's just say they came in at 7 and they forgot to punch in, and now it's noon and they're going to lunch and they're going to punch out. I want them just to punch out and leave the missing in punch and have to get that corrected by a supervisor. If they try to do the wrong thing, it will ask them to verify, but forget that. That's, again, just a one-time thing. All right, and then it asks them, do you want to add a new activity? And if they say yes, it brings up the interface for adding an activity. I'm going to say no just to demonstrate. Right here, the employee is shown their entire work week worth of punches in and out. And then if they want to do a time transaction, this is what would have come up if I had said yes. I know this is a scary looking form. Again, I'm not saying this is the greatest way to do it. I'm just showing you what I got to after a lot of time. They can put in a job number, they can type it, or they can look it up. And so let's just say they want to do Fannie Mae. Once they've entered a job, this drop down is pre-populated with all of the, we call them tasks, but basically like work orders. All of the work orders that are open and in a state such that they're expected to be worked on. I can also click the lookup button, and I can view all of the tasks. So as you can see, the ones that are open is a small subset. I'll go ahead and just pick one. And you'll see it asks them to select a step. And that step also fills out the activity code. Just to explain what this is, and also these in the brackets here, it's what we call a tag, the tasks tag. So it's kind of a short name for it. It's auto-populating. It just starts at A and moves on. But you can put whatever you want in there for the tag. I just want to show you what those steps are. So the steps are kind of the things that have to be done to complete. And I think I must have looked up the wrong one. I think it was DS. Okay. There it is. So, yeah, okay. Oops. So these are all the steps, and it could be a long set of steps, right? And each step has its own completion. Some of these things auto-complete as things happen on the shop floor. Some of them require the employee to say, I'm done with this, that kind of a thing. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So anyway, the activity code can be assigned in there. We allow our employees to track their time either by entering a time span, or if they have the right permission, then they can actually track just by saying I spent 7 hours on this. But most of our employees don't have that. You'll notice it's pre-populated with the punch-in time. Even though right now it's 3:41, if I go to a new one, it notices that I'm missing time and backdates it. The employee is free to say, I'm not even working on this now. I did this for 1 minute. And so again, we'll pick this job. We'll pick this work order. We'll pick this step. Comments are just purely for their own information. These are like IntelliSense autocomplete things. They can type, wood-1, it'll autocomplete. Those things are defined in the job. They don't really matter here. They save. So then when they come back a little later, let's say the employees are free to edit this. So he could click on this and edit it. But if he tries to take it back too far, it won't let him run over a time clock punch. But he could say, I actually did it from there to there. He could say, this is my current activity. Come in, start a new one, and say, same job, a different work order. Again, they can scan things. It will fill out the job, task. It'll fill out everything for them if they scan the right thing. Sure. All right. Next thing that probably happens is they're going to punch out. And you'll see it automatically closed out what they were working on. I'll show you. So this end time and that start time are linked together. I told you they can edit this to their heart's content. If they edit one, it's going to move the other one back since they were all connected in that way. They can uncheck this box if they don't want the automatic correction logic. They can create a new time transaction right in the middle of this one. It'll split it into two for them. They can do all kinds of stuff. But it's pretty good about catching everything. So then they come back from lunch and they punch in. It's just going to ask them, do you want to resume? And they're going to say, yes, I do. Fills out everything for them. They hit save. They can click on this one and say resume that one. Fills out everything for them. Hit save. Various activities on the shop floor when they scan various things, we've got some document management stuff and some CNC program management stuff. Those things will automatically prompt to change, and they just hit yes. So let's go back and log in as me. If I'm a supervisor, I can simply select that person over here in the list, and I can edit their stuff as well. So I could change that. I can change their time. I can add time transactions for them. I'm basically them right now. This is the current day's time tracking because that tends to be a lot of records. And this is the entire week. So if I want to see more than that, or if they want to see more than that, they just click on View Edit Time. They can select predefined periods. They can move forward and backwards by weeks. Let's just pick a different employee to demonstrate this. Let's do this week. Last week. Let's pick somebody else. Let's go Jason. You can see we got PTO in here. We'll go back to our energy employee. And I can create transactions for them. I can create punch in, punch out, paid time off request. We can give them some paid time off. Now, when we do that, if we come in here and select an activity, you'll see this is what a definition of an activity. And we can set them up, whether they require jobs, whether they require comments, whether they require work orders. You see some rules. PTO, and PTO carries a balance. So like this is their paid time off account. So we're going to give them a starting balance of 100 hours. We can put some comments on it. And then the way it works is, let's just create some problematic things though. Let's say on Monday, this employee punched in at 6 o'clock, and then they started tracking time. And then we'll say on Sunday, they punched in and then they punched out, and then we'll give them some time, but not enough. We'll just switch them to hours, just so you can see what that looks like. All right, so they've got a number of issues. You can see that their time clock and their activities don't quite work out. We're going to go log back in as this employee. So they're presented with the problem with their time. If they wanted to request paid time off, then they just do a new time transaction, and they make it a PTO request, and they pick what date. So it's today, and they're going to say, I want to take 5, or actually, let's make this more realistic. Thursday, they want to take 8 hours of PTO because something or another, right? And they have to pick a paid time off account. So, we've got several, and just to show you the difference, if we look at holiday, anytime an employee tries to do something that they're not allowed to, a supervisor can put in the information to their credentials to allow them to. So this is a PTO that doesn't have balances, right? Paid time off is one that carries balances. Most of them just know this by now, but we'll put it in, and you'll see it's not approved. So it's not going to show up in the payroll export until a supervisor looks at it. So they have a number of problems. If we go to their home screen is basically meant to be like a list of action items that require your attention. It's showing them that this day has a problem. But they would they would notice this as being off, and it's red now, which is indicating that it's outside of the tolerance. These don't have to exactly match, but I think I've set us up for a 15-minute tolerance. So we will go, they can do view edit time, and they can see all their problems. They can come in here and say, oh, well, that's not enough time. I mean, right here we got 2.5 hours of time clock, 1.5 hours are allocated. They're allowed to edit this. Although we have the ability to, at any time, pull up an audit trail. And see what was changed. So you can see now, actually, that has put it within the tolerance, so it's pretty happy. And a lot of it is this one here. It doesn't have a punch out. They got 0 time either way. And so that one's going to stick on their home screen until they correct it. And they can't correct it. They can't add a punch in. They won't let them. They're gonna have to get a supervisor to fix that. So one other thing I thought, well, we'll do that in a minute. All right. So if I'm their supervisor, their problems are also going to show on my home screen for me to get fixed. Plus, I have an audit time. I can say I want to audit this week. You'll see I have a couple of audit issues. I didn't show you. My home screen also showed me I needed to edit that PTO request. So from right here, I can go edit this, and I can approve it. And it won't be on that audit anymore. It won't be on my home screen. Won't be on their home screen. Let's say I hunt them down. One of the things I want to show is I can send them a note, and I can do it by right-clicking on anything related to them, or I can just go to notes. We use the hell out of this. It's kind of like email for people who don't have it, right? So we got a token control here. I can put in multiple people. I can also do all Des Moines, all Emmitsburg, all Des Moines control, various roles. And a role here would be like a title in your system, which I don't remember if you have or not, actually. It's basically just re-implemented email. I mean, we can see who all the email is going to. We can add attachments. We can send them a note. It's a rich edit control. Just save it. Just want to show you what happens. So now let's go back to the time clock. I got all kinds of stuff going on here. Sorry. And I'm going to find that employer. Oh, well, so this audit time shows up whenever you try to export payroll. So if we try to export payroll, I'll just show you what that looks like. We'll do last week for Des Moines. we get this audit, which is warning us that an employee who was hired about that time has no data in that period. And yes, I want to continue. This is what the export looks like. We got this tab is really just for checking. This is what we actually send to ADP because we asked them to break up the cost by these cost centers, and they send it back to us. This is what our Savannah facility uses, which is just summary, one record per employee type stuff. And then it asks if we want to lock this time period. And that's important because it will keep people from editing time in a time period that's already been exported to our accounting software. Now, just to show you what happens with this data going forward, if I pull up Fannie Mae, just by clicking on it, I can see the actual hours incurred. I can go into tasks again, which are kind of like work orders conceptually. And let's see if we can find a good one. It's only got 5 hours. Here's 28 hours. So inside this, I can view the actual time transactions. I could edit them if I wanted to. I could go to the job, to the task, edit the task. Let's go log on as our energy employee one more time. And you'll see it told them they have new hot notes. Now, it won't do this if they're not punched in. It actually won't present the new hot notes dialog until they have punched themselves in. Because I don't want people spending time, otherwise it just gets in the way of them punching in and they just close it without reading it. They go to notes and they can always review their old notes. Here comes the time clock. They're going to punch out. And it's warning me, hey, we got some major problems here. And I knew that. I messed with some stuff. I think that about covers all the stuff that I wanted to show you. And again, I want to be real clear. I'm not saying any of this is the right way to do it. I'm just offering it up as something that we've kind of experienced. And I will tell you too, when we export or when we do our job costing in here, it will take the overtime and spread it out equally over all of the time transactions for the week. I think that's kind of cool. You can argue that either way. I don't think that's something that has to be, but you get the point. Thanks.